Welcome to the Space Dreamers Podcast, a Su Madre production.
Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to another episode of the Space Dreamers Podcast. This is a bonus episode. It will be released on a regular Thursday, like our normal episodes, but this one is, I guess, I misuse the word bonus, I think, often, because bonus should be extra, but if it's coming out on a Thursday, then technically it's not bonus. But anyway, this is an episode about an adaptation. So you witnessed this back with Childhood's End. We did an episode about the book. The following Thursday, we did an episode about the adaptation. Doesn't matter what the adaptation was. In that case, it was a miniseries. In this case, it's a BBC radio drama. And it's an adaptation of the novel A Fall of Moondust, which Heather and I read and discussed in the last episode. And so this episode, Heather agreed to listen to the BBC 4. I don't know what that means, but that's what everyone calls it. The BBC 4 adaptation of A Fall of Moondust. So Heather's my co-host. Say hello, Heather.
Hello.
And because this is a bonus episode, we're going to make it a short one. Do you want to know another reason we got to make it a short episode?
Why? What?
Because it's Saturday, and Saturdays are for the boys.
What?
Okay, she doesn't get it. It means, Heather, it means the squad's online.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
You don't know what that means?
No, what are you talking about?
I'm trying to play online video games tonight with my friends.
Oh, boy. Let's hurry it up then.
Okay, that was kind of a joke, but
I'm sorry I didn't get it, but you should know better. I don't play video games.
No, I know. But you should, dude, so funny thing about video games, right? And history, and I guess I just feel like talking about this. I don't know how sci-fi it is, but it's like, because like we're talking about how you've read Ready Player One, which is a lot of like video games.
Yeah.
Like I play video games. I read that book Snow Crash, which is again about the same thing, but like in terms of, I don't know, like, so there's this term in gaming that's actually kind of old now. It's weird that like gaming is like a modern thing, but there's like old gaming things already. So like an old gaming thing when I was in high school was you would say it's a term. It means we're gonna pwn noobs. Do you know what that means?
I remember you saying that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just funny because so noob
is a noob people?
Like a newbie.
Newbie. Yeah.
It's short for newbie. And pwn, can you imagine why you say pwn?
You're going to own someone.
Right.
But I don't know what the P stands for.
But back in the day, there was no, people would play, like the original shooting multiplayer game was called Counter-Strike.
Okay.
And kids would play Counter-Strike and you would type. You wouldn't talk. I think you could talk, but you could type. So you chat with each other. So while you're playing, you would chat. You would type.
Like a lot.
Yeah. But on a keyboard, the P is right next to the O.
Yeah. So
people would accidentally type pwn, P-W-N.
Oh, okay.
So that's where that comes from.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I've been a nerd for a long time. So anyway, I don't know.
I've been bad at video games for a long time, so that's why I don't play.
Heather, do you remember like a few weeks ago I told you to remind me to show you something?
Yes, and then I did remind you, but you forgot.
Yeah, I forgot. But not this time.
Okay. And then this time I forgot, but you remembered. Uh-oh, what's going on? We're looking.
So I ordered this thing in the mail, and I didn't even know what I was going to get, but this is what arrived. So you just take it and describe it. And describe it like the whole time.
It's a book, and it's called Houston, Houston, Do You Read? It's by James Tiptree Jr. Looks, they're doing an EVA.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Oh. It's also a different book.
So explain it.
You turn it over. If you go to the back and then you flip it over, it's another book. So it's two books back to back.
What's the other book?
Oh, Joanna Russ. It's called Souls.
Yep.
And there is a girl with a sword and a couple of kids.
But then if you open the book, what does the inside look like?
It looks like a book.
Yeah, but then flip to the other side where the Houston part is.
Yeah, it goes the other way.
Yeah, so find the middle point where it meets.
Okay.
Maybe it'll be interesting.
The best in science fiction.
Is
that what you want me to look at?
Is that the middle point?
Yes.
Oh. Isn't that thing crazy? Have you ever seen anything like that?
I feel like I have.
Yeah. It's just weird to me.
But it is cool.
The weirdest thing to me about it is that it's two different authors. Like, I don't understand, like, why. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I guess that is weird.
So basically, you have Joanna Russ and James Tiptree Jr., which in real life, her name was Alice Sheldon. She's a female science fiction writer from around the same time. For whatever reason, this company, Tor Publishing, published a bunch of those because that is like number 13. Like when you look it up, it's like numbered. So there's a bunch of these Tor double features, they're called. And I just think it's cool. I'd never heard of it until I ordered it. Like when I ordered that book, it was intentionally ordering Houston. I didn't even know that Souls thing was there.
That's so crazy. This looks more Souls, looks more fantasy.
Yeah.
And this one looks pretty straight up science fiction.
Yep.
Because it's about space.
Totally.
Also, at first I thought she did not have an arm.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at it, I mean,
let me see.
I can see her
Is she shielding the
hands
kids?
now, but it looks like she has no arm.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, she's like pointing.
Yeah. I was like, oh, she has no arm. Oh, no, she does have an arm. It looks, you know what that looks like?
What?
That picture looks like Lord of the Rings.
Well,
because it's like
fantasy.
Yeah, I know. Because it looks like, because she's like a normal sized person. So she looks like Liv Tyler's character. Like an elf.
Oh, true.
And then those little guys look like they could be hobbits.
Mm-hmm. I think they're kids.
Yeah.
Youngsters.
Or like or like there's like a woman that sort of protects the hobbits when they have the big battle. So it's like her, but I don't remember what her name is.
Yeah, isn't she the one? Yeah, that's that great scene. Are you in the third one? Remember in the third one when he's like, no mortal man can defeat me.
That part
and then she's
was
like,
amazing.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And then she's
but
like,
yes,
I'm
that's
not
what
a
I'm
man.
talking about. Yeah.
See, there's
that
so
part's
many.
so cool.
I just feel like there are so many.
She's so badass.
Yeah, dude. I just feel like there are so many badass examples of women in movies that like don't get championed.
Yeah, I don't remember those like when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, but
like early 2000s.
Yeah, that should have been a bigger deal.
Yeah,
that part is crazy good.
Yeah.
And because she's like, I mean, she's a cool character anyway, and but she's like in love with what's his face,
Aragorn, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of like that's like sort of sad for her, but then you're like, no, I'm not sad for her. Like she's super cool.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, she like sort of protects the two hobbits that are with them.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't remember what her name is though.
I don't either. It's probably some weird thing that I can't pronounce. All right, so as I said, we are here to discuss Fall of Moondust, the BBC radio production from 1981, and we're also going to discuss one science fiction film that we both watched. And this probably will just be a shorter episode because there's like not a whole lot to say about the radio drama. I took a couple notes and I'd like to like discuss
Yeah, I mean,
them,
I have a couple things that I want to say.
So what do you think overall about it?
So I know I kind of said this to you yesterday. I was like, I found it more interesting than I thought it would be. Like I was more engaged in it than I thought I would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I did listen to it like while I was doing other things. Like I wasn't just sitting and listening to it. I mean, it's hard because it's like, it's what, an hour and a half is
yeah,
how
it's like
long
90
it is.
minutes.
So it's really, really condensed. Like
Yeah.
everything happens really quickly. And I think that if I hadn't read the book and had only listened to that, I would have just... They almost act like it's happening in real time. It's obviously not, but I feel like if I had like just listened to it and not known, I would have been like, oh wow, this is happening really quickly. And if you feel like it's happening really quickly, it's not as like the whole thing doesn't seem as dangerous.
Are you talking about like an actual timeline or the amount of time you spend with the story?
No, like it's, I guess on radio, it's hard to like understand the passing of time.
Yeah.
So you just sort of, it felt like it happened really quickly.
I agree.
Like just, but I mean, that's, it's just because you're not looking at it or reading it.
I partly think that, and what we've said before and what so many people have said, that it would make such a good movie, I think I agree because I think I like spending less time with the story. Maybe it's because I don't love it, but I think it's just more exciting when it's fast.
No, it is. But I think if it were a movie, it's easier when you're like visual to understand that time has passed.
Yeah.
Like this is several hours in the future or the next day. It's like a little bit harder to get that when you're listening to it. And
the explanations, because there's so much Clark has to explain the dust.
Yeah.
He has to explain so many things in this novel that when you listen, I feel like maybe you'd be confused about the dust a little bit if you hadn't read it.
Yeah. And the other thing that's kind of weird about it is, like, in the book, that there's other passengers that you're just not aware of. Like, they just don't have a part in the story.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like when you're listening to it, it seems like you should be hearing all of the people. So it's like a little weird, because I don't know if they mention it and they say like 22 passengers or something, but it's like when you're listening to it, you obviously aren't hearing 22 passengers. You're hearing like 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah. I did think they do. One of the characters does mention to Sue in the BBC thing. She's like, there's only the captain and you. Like, there's only two of you.
Yeah.
And the woman's like, well, there's only 20 passengers, so it's all we need. Like, no big deal. But do you remember in Breaking Strain when they go into great length discussing the importance of having 3 crew members for decision making?
Yeah.
It's almost like I feel like that novel wouldn't work if Hanstein didn't come forward. Because if you think about it, it would just be Pat Harris and Sue. Like, Sue would probably do everything Pat told her to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know what is weird about this story is like how nonchalant it is.
Dude,
like,
that's Clark.
Yeah, because like, what did they say? It's going to take 4 hours. Like, could you imagine? I mean, it's like any little tour that you take. Like, maybe it's like a safari or something, which I've never been on a safari, but like you go out and you're on a little tour for 4 hours or something. But it's like, this is on the moon and they're just like out for 4 hours and they have a guy and like a flight attendant. So I think to me, it seems like that's not enough. Like, that's not serious enough.
Right.
But I feel like it's not a real like crew. It's because it's not as big of a deal as we think it is.
Right.
So but maybe it's not the same as that.
I loved in the BBC thing that we listened to. I need a new way to refer to it. In the radio drama.
Yeah.
I liked the part where they talk about tourism in the beginning.
Okay.
Do you remember that when they're talking about
who's talking about it?
Well, they basically like Lawrence, I think. They address the fact that they're not prepared to save anything in this dust. Like they're like, I mean, it's in the book too, but I think we
talked about that.
Yeah, I really liked that, and I liked it in the radio drama. I thought it was good because in the radio drama, as we know, I'm sure you remember, like certain things were cut out.
Oh yeah.
So I appreciate that that's in there.
Yeah.
Because it's just an interesting concept. I mean, how he's like, because there's that one dude. He's like, yeah, we can't let these people die because of tourism.
Right.
And the other guy's like, are you serious, man? Because we're trying to save these people's lives. It's like our fault that they're potentially going to die.
Yeah. Well, that's how the journalist kind of like gets them on board. Because he's like, I'm like, either you can help me with this or like, I'm going to say that you didn't. It's like he can kind of, I maybe it's not blackmailing, but like bribing him or whatever. Like, it's just interesting. But it's all about money. It's about money. Right. You don't want to lose money.
And I find it interesting too. And like certain things, like you just have to accept, I guess. But I think it's weird because it contradicts what you're saying. The vibe is that it's very nonchalant.
Right.
And yet this journalist who happens to be on the moon is like, my station's going to pay you $100,000
Yeah.
just to fly me over there. We're going to get the scoop. It's going to be the most amazing scoop, like, in the whole solar system, like, ever. And it's like, I thought spaceflight wasn't a big deal. Like, this shit should happen all the time, right?
But I guess it's like anything where people could die.
You know, and the other thing is that Clark wrote this at a time when, like, you can watch anything happening in the world at any time with the little thing that's in your pocket.
Yeah.
So we can see stuff like that now just by typing in, like, disaster rescue.
Right.
There's like a million videos. So maybe if you write this thing at a time when that's not possible, you're still imagining a populace that's glued to a TV. And only a TV.
And something like that really brings people together. Like everyone, it's not a tragedy. I guess it's something that could either end in tragedy or like a real triumph. Like people are really glued to their TV.
It is crazy, man. That's weird. Maybe it would minimize it to talk about sports because I don't know. I'm just making this connection. Like, there's two outcomes. If you're like I'm like a Patriots fan, right?
Right.
So when I watch a Patriots game, there's two outcomes. One's good, one's bad.
Yeah.
Patriots win, Patriots lose.
Yeah.
But like, that like half the time you could feel loss, but you still watch because of how good it feels when you win.
Well,
so I'm just saying,
people together,
right? And for like the connection, it's like that's why if like there's this rescue going on, the whole world's going to watch because everyone's rooting for the pull through.
Right.
I mean, no one wants to see the tragedy, but in case there's the pull through, you want to witness that because that's like a good feeling.
So remember, when did this happen? The mining, like the miners that they were rescuing.
Oh, in Chile?
Yeah.
33 of them. I think it's called 33 Down or something, that book.
But like what? So, I mean, isn't that kind of the same thing? Like, we were aware of people being rescued.
Yeah, and I think
I
think in that situation they were doing like similar things in that they were like giving them things. They were like, we can't rescue you now, but we can give you stuff that'll allow, like we're going to drop food down there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, pretty interesting. I've always wanted to read that book, but because that book looks really good. I think.
But yeah, so it's the same kind of thing.
Something. I agree.
I was going to look at it. 30. I don't know. But anyway, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing as like looking for people that are in like a life or death situation, and everyone's like really invested in what's going to happen.
I want to just go through my notes. I only made a couple like statements.
Did you like it?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and part of me, I like playing that other side of the story in terms of saying that books aren't always better than their adaptations. And part of me, while I was listening to this, I was like, this might be better than the book, but I don't think it is.
I just think it's different.
But I do think if this was a movie, it would be better than the book. I really do. Especially now with like our technology, like CGI now.
Somebody make a movie out of this.
It couldn't be that hard, dude, because remember I interviewed Dominique Filol and he said like he just had to pay a fee to the Arthur C. Clarke Foundation and they don't even care what you do with it.
Okay, well, what's he doing?
Who? Dominique? I don't know.
Does he want to make a movie?
I think he's way too into UFOs. I don't think he likes the moon.
Well, there's a part
in
this book about UFOs.
I don't think Dominique likes this book then because Clark takes a disliking to UFO enthusiasts in this novel.
All right. Well, if anybody knows a different filmmaker.
All right, wait, we
want them to make a movie.
I thought that the first note I wrote is that the play makes it sound like it's Pat's fault that it crashes.
I thought that too.
And I didn't like that.
That's so weird that you said that because I forgot about that. And because he's like not looking or something.
Yep.
And then everyone's like, yeah, what's that hole or something?
Yep. All the dialogue at that point.
Right.
Everything that's said at that moment pretty much leads the listener to think that this is Pat's fault.
That is right. And I thought that. And like I said, I was like doing things while I listened to this. And I was like thinking I had to remember that. So I'm really, really glad that you brought that up.
I mean, they fix it later. I mean, they do say later, obviously, that it was a moonquake. But still, I didn't like that. When I first heard it, I was like, if I'd never read the book, I would not like Pat right now.
Yeah, that's totally true. I thought Pat's voice sounded a little bit like Sam Neill.
Yeah, he had like a.
Is that what that guy's name is from Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought, dude, you know who I thought Pat sounded like? Actually, wait, maybe we're thinking of two different people. Are you thinking of Hanstein?
No,
because you said
Hanstein-
Scottish. Sam Neill is Scottish.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. He's Australian.
Sam Neill?
I'm pretty sure he's Australian.
I swear I looked this up because
I don't think he's Scottish.
No, hold on. We will look this up in 1 second. But let me just tell you why I think that. Because I remember Mom was at one time watching Peaky Blinders.
Yes.
And I walked in on it, and I don't watch that show, but
I don't think Sam Neill's on that show. Are we talking about the same person?
Sam Neill from Jurassic Park, dude. Just let me finish. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
He's in Peaky Blinders.
Okay.
Well, I walked in on that show. I've seen that show before. I'm not interested, but I walked in on that show, and I saw a scene with Sam Neill. I was glued to the screen. I was like, this is amazing. Like, Sam Neill is such a good actor. And the reason I say that is I think he adopts his native accent. So let's look it up.
Yeah. I thought he was like Australian.
99% sure he's Scottish.
Or maybe from New Zealand.
Oh, you're right. New Zealand. Damn. So then,
he's from New Zealand?
Yeah. New Zealand.
All right, yeah.
Okay, so in that case, then let me just retread and say that Sam Neill is such an amazing actor for pulling off that Scottish accent in that show that I don't like, and yet I walked in on the scene and I was glued to the scene while he was giving this like monologue. So cool on Sam Neill.
I am not caught up on that show, but I guess I haven't watched. Whatever. I don't remember that show, but
I just remember that one scene.
I didn't remember that he was in it.
Either way.
Well, I just watched a show. I just watched a movie with him in it where he was New Zealand. It took place in New Zealand.
Right.
It was that Hunt for the Wilder People.
I never thought that he was from New Zealand.
Yeah. I feel like
he's an amazing actor.
He is a really good actor.
Like, you forget, man.
Yeah.
I feel like you just think like, oh, he's the guy from Jurassic Park. It's like, no, dude, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's a really good actor.
Like, to be able to, because now I'm thinking of Jurassic Park. He has an American accent in that, and it's also incredible.
Right. Yeah, but think about that. Like, you just need to be good at accents if you're an actor. And
but sometimes it's impressive, dude. Like, or I just feel like sometimes it goes above and beyond. Like, for instance, like Christian Bale.
Oh my God.
Like,
so good.
He's just like, how could you do it better?
I
like,
don't know.
Any accent. I don't know.
It's like actors that you see and you see them in American roles, and then you see them in an interview and you're like, oh, you're British?
Yeah.
Or whatever, you're like,
or even
I had no idea.
Like that a British person played Batman, you know what I mean, and did it so well. And then he played American Psycho. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Christian Bale's amazing. And I always feel like stupid saying that. I'm like, I know it's like been said before, but Christian Bale's so good.
Yeah.
Like, so good. Or like Kate Winslet. Like, I'm watching a show with her in it, and she's very convincing,
right.
As an American.
I feel like that's the thing I've only
American
recently
person.
started noticing is sometimes I've just recently been impressed by, like, more so
accents.
Than I ever. Yeah, it's just like, because, like, if you want to hear someone be bad at something, you just say, do a British accent.
Yeah.
Like, it's not easy at all to do someone else's accent.
But the thing about accents, it's like what they say about, Boston accents, like how Boston accents are like so hard to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like what actors should do is just not do a Boston accent, because the only people who are going to know are people in, New England, and we're all going to think it's bad. And if you just don't do one, then no one else is going to know, and people here won't be so distracted by how bad your accent is.
True. No, I was going to say, well, it shouldn't matter because you're only pissing off a very small amount of people.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a lot of people live in New England.
But I mean, also, who cares? Like,
True.
I mean, but I feel like it's just one of those things that people really struggle with. So it's kind of funny.
It is weird.
I mean, there was like no one to me recognizable in this radio cast. I didn't know who one of these actors were.
Well, okay, wait. Oh, yeah. So we keep getting distracted. The thing, I think that maybe I'm wrong here. I think that Pat sounds like the guy from the only movie I can think of is Jurassic Park: Fallen Kingdom. The one in the guy in the wheelchair, like the like that movie's version of Hammond. It was supposed to be like Hammond's partner.
Oh,
do you remember that at all? I can't remember his name. He's a good actor.
No, I don't remember who it was.
But I looked up the names of the ones that I thought maybe I would recognize, and I just saw that they're probably they're just usually just actors from the time, but I didn't recognize any of them.
Yeah. I just didn't remember. I was like, he's Scottish. Hanstein is Scottish, and I didn't remember him being Scottish in the book.
I vaguely do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like
he could be, though. And
they're all on the
notice.
moon, man. It's just like,
yeah,
they're all from the Earth. It's just kind of funny.
But I thought everybody did a good job. I thought the only thing that was like weird to me, and I get why this would be hard to do, but I thought like the end was just a little chaotic, like with the actual rescue.
Yeah.
Like it was just really noisy, and there's like a lot happening, and I was just like, what is going on right now?
I did like, the only part that stuck out, I just remember when someone's like, cover your mouth and your nose, like your nose and your mouth with clothing. Yeah. It was just like,
there were like certain things that I picked up on, but overall I was like, whoa. But, this is crazy.
Yeah, I thought, I don't know. Wait, I can keep going through.
What was with the banjo music?
I know, right? or just the way this thing depicted all the Americans were such like a-holes or like dumb.
Yeah,
which is kind of funny.
I thought that was funny.
But dude, the guy who had the best voice, I don't mind saying, was the news guy.
Okay.
He just had such a good like radio voice. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that was intentional because he is a radio guy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, so I also wrote that Lawson sounds way too old in this version. I pictured him young and weird. Ooh, you'll get this reference. This is exactly how I pictured Lawson. Ready? The guy from Solaris, whose twin was his visitor.
Yeah,
Isn't that how you pictured Lawson? More like that dude?
Yeah, like a little
super
awkward.
Yeah, awkward little genius dude.
Yep.
Like,
but
oh well. And he was like old and like I liked
he didn't
his
sound as weird.
Yeah, not
in
at all.
this. Like he didn't sound as awkward.
The only person who he was eccentric towards was like his assistant.
His assistant.
You know?
Yeah, that was really funny. He was just like, okay, this is like very elementary. I can't believe I have to explain this to you. Like, you know what I mean?
Dude.
Like, so it's just like, whoa.
Yeah, and my next note is I love the fade out of Lawson explaining to Ingrid how the infrared works.
Yeah.
Because it was just so perfect. Because, like, I mean, I didn't fully understand it either. You know what I mean? So then just his attitude, like, for that moment with his frustration and then fade out, it's like, oh, geez.
But then later on, he's like, I figured it out while I was explaining it to my assistant. So it's like, if she hadn't not understood this, she wouldn't have figured it out. So it's like actually kind of perfect.
Do my next note. How about them banjos?
Oh my God. Yeah, seriously.
It was like every time they went to that one ship, they would play banjos.
It was like, so it was like, and it was not just like for a second, it was like for a minute. It would just be like this long, literally as I was listening to it the first time the banjo happened, I was like,
commercial break.
I was like, am I still listening to the same thing? What's going on?
Well, it's, dude, okay, if you look, you know, the second credit in this thing is the banjo player.
Yeah, I know.
So he must have been, maybe he was famous or something. They were
but then if you read the comments, like people were like, oh, who's the banjo guy? Like people were like really into the banjo. This is really weird.
Yeah. Okay. This is a connection I did not make reading the book, but I made it in the radio drama. So Lawson says more than once, he uses the word elementary, like you said.
Yeah.
And he goes, what he says to another character who, when he's explaining his methods, he goes, I'm an observer, you see. And dude, that's Sherlock Holmes.
Oh.
Because Sherlock Holmes says elementary all the time. That's why there was that show that called Elementary that was like a modern version of Sherlock Holmes, like in America with like Lucy Liu as Watson. Yeah. Anyway. So I just thought that was really cool because that's what he's doing. He's like deducing, you know, he's like making deductions in order to figure out, using weird methods in order to figure out this mystery of like, where is Celine?
Yeah.
I just found that very cool. I was like, this dude, I don't know, like an observer. I just made that connection and thought it was interesting. I wrote the Americans sound like dummies in the adaptation. And the last note I wrote was the journalist is still the least interesting part.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't like make much of an impression on me in this play. I liked Lawrence.
Yeah, he's like seemed like the most like level-headed.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like if this book was
seemed like a good guy.
Yeah, and like if this book wasn't written by Clark, it was written by someone who's more down with like main characters and like human relations. I feel like Lawson would be the main character. I feel like he would make a good main character.
Lawson?
I'm sorry, Lawrence.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like maybe like, I don't know, like you could just have everything come in through his point of view. Like when he first hears about Celine or something, I don't know.
I liked too, like when they were on the dust skis, is that what they're called? And like how they did the voices, like how they made it sound like they were like in like
the
headphones, helmets. Yeah.
I did find it interesting. Like there would be some moments where two people would be talking on like the phone.
Yeah.
And it would keep one of them in like a radio voice, and the other one it was like they were right there.
Yeah, I mean the way that they did all the sound effects and everything was like really good.
Yeah, it was very much like a movie.
Yeah.
You know?
They did a good job with it. Oh, we haven't talked about my real big issue with this though.
Oh yeah, tell me what.
So, I think we talked about how we weren't sure we were saying Celine exactly correctly.
Right.
But there's absolutely no way that the way that they pronounce the ship in this can possibly be correct because they call it Selene. That cannot be right.
I don't know if it's right or not.
That bothered me because I was like, did they just say Selene?
Is Celine the name, like the way it's spelled? That's the name of a god, right?
A goddess.
Of the moon?
Yeah, that's exactly how you spell it.
But so have you ever heard someone say it?
No. So like I get that, but like...
But my point is clearly that's a word, so there is a way to say that word. My point is if Clark made up the word, then there's no way to know how you actually say the word unless you have a recording of him saying it. But since it's not a made-up word, then yes, I would agree with you. There's got to be a way that you're supposed to say it.
Yeah, but I don't think that the way that they say it... Okay.
I certainly don't think it's Selene either.
Who do not know the spelling of this word, I'm going to tell it to you, and then you can decide how you say it. Selene. I mean, it looks like Celine. Does it look like Selene? No, it sure doesn't.
No. I thought it was saline. I don't know why.
No, but I don't think it's saline because that's like that actually has another spelling, like Saline. But then there's like,
Well, the reason is because in another novel, I think it was in H.G. Wells wrote a book called The First Men in the Moon, which is about going to the moon for the first time. And he uses similar terms. And he would call them that word, I-T-E-S at the end, ites. So in my head, it just sounds better to say selenite.
Well, but selenite is a thing. Selenite, there's selenite behind you on my thing. Is it
from the moon?
No.
Well, that sounds weird and confusing.
I don't know why it's called that.
Sounds like one of them shouldn't be named that. Either that thing from Earth or the moon.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know what? Maybe it is Selene because that's stupid. But like, I don't know. I mean, it seems like somebody probably would have done some research before they made that thing.
Yeah, and Clark was alive and kicking when that came out.
Oh my God. Well, then maybe we're wrong.
Maybe it is
Selene. I don't know. But I just thought it sounded wicked goofy every time they said it.
Yeah, I agree.
And like most people said it in their little British accent. The Selene. The Selene. And I was like, what? The Selene? That to me just like, I didn't
bothers
like that.
You? Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a similar situation.
No, there's like plenty of names that I don't know how to say. So like the more I talk about this, the more I feel like it probably is Selene and I just don't know what I'm talking about.
Selene sounds stupid. I agree. There's no way like you have names for gods like Zeus, Poseidon, and Selene.
But you know, the book that I read that I first learned about this goddess of the moon, the title of the book is Circe. So like, how do you say that?
Circes.
No, I don't know why you put an S on the end of it, but apparently it's Circe.
Circe?
Yeah, so you're right.
Okay.
But like, to me, that looked like Cirque. So like, maybe I don't know what I'm saying. I remember when I like called the bookstore, I was like, I don't know how you say this. Cirque. And they were like, oh, Circe?
Well, wouldn't that be a U? Like Hercules? Cirque?
Well, yeah, but Hercules is Herc. Circe? I don't know.
I don't either.
Circe? I guess both of those C's are making the same sound. But, oh, you know what? Circe, that's just one E on the end. Maybe it is Selene. Jeez, it's stupid if it is.
Selene. Yeah,
I
would never call it Selene. I don't know.
That knows
so I agree.
How to pronounce this word.
Dude, we could look up, like, we don't have to
right now. I feel like
I
tried to look it up, like how you pronounce it, and couldn't find anything.
But what you could do is you could look up, like, a review, like a video. I'm sure there's someone like me who reviews Arthur C. Clarke books on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you could just find something and maybe hear them say it.
If you look at this thing of how to pronounce it, look, that says Selene.
Selene, yeah.
Yeah, so this, if you like Google it. Wait a minute.
What?
I mean, just so that everybody knows where I'm getting my information here. It's just the internet. This says... Oh, I don't know who wrote this. This says Selene is the Greek mythological pronunciation and the one I like the best. So it sounds like I am wrong.
I'm not Greek, and I don't speak like that.
So I think there's different pronunciations of it, and the Greek, like the Greek, I guess, because there's Greek gods, and then there's Roman gods.
Yeah.
So... I don't. But anyway, it sounds like the Greek mythology, the way to pronounce it is Selene.
Yeah.
So I guess that they are right and I'm wrong.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't.
It also probably doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because if it's a word, well, because I would like to get into this because I think about this sometimes. Ready? So if it's a word created by Greek people, right? Speaking a language that's not English,
right?
Using symbols that we don't even have in our alphabet, then if you translate it or you try to write what you hear in English,
right,
then it's going to be different. But so, like, when it comes to like what you're talking about is like saying things correctly. It's like, what is correct if you have two different languages, right? So like, because I feel like sometimes people correct people about that's not how you say that. You know what I mean? Right. So like, if that's true, then the word Spain shouldn't be a word.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is weird.
You don't say Spain when you're there.
It is. That is very. Yeah, that is really weird when we like. But
so
but why do we do like that? Is to me, I've always not liked that. Like, why do we have to change the names of countries just so that they're easier for us to say? Like, what is Spain truly called?
España.
So, honestly, that's not that hard to say. Like, why did we change it so that, or whatever happened to it,
exactly,
that it became Spain?
But that's my point. Is that when it
happen?
Comes to like, are you correct or not in your pronunciation of a proper noun? Like, I don't like who even knows.
Yeah,
but
you know what?
Originally said it is correct. I don't.
But you know, it's funny because like we've talked about this, like, and I've talked about this with other people about reading books. Is like when you get to a name that you just don't know how to say. So it's not just you and me that think this. Like, a lot of people don't like that, you know, when you're reading a book. But the thing that's funny about this is, like, when I was reading that book, Circe, there were a lot of names that I had no idea how to pronounce them. And then you get a name like Selene, and it's like automatically my brain is like, oh, I know how to pronounce that. So it's just funny, you know, because there's all these weird letters and like things are put together in a way that I'm like, I don't know what that says. But Selene, I didn't even stop. I didn't even hesitate, like, in my head to say Selene.
Right.
So that's also kind of it's whatever, but it's just funny.
Yeah. Like, I wonder what The Greek people back in the day were using the Greek alphabet, right? Like the current Greek alphabet.
I mean, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So
because it's
I don't know.
even like I've even thought like like Thailand, like the word land is in there. There's no way that that's how they say it.
How do they say Thailand? You've been there.
I mean, I didn't. It's another language. If they said Thailand, I was so lost in all the other things they were saying that I don't understand. But like, my point is, or even like, and like, I was talking to Cielo, who is from Peru, about Thailand. They call it Thailandia.
Oh, that's really
you know what
cute.
I mean? And like Peru, we say Peru. They don't say Peru. They say Peru. You know what I mean?
It's like Cuba.
Cuba. Yeah.
And we say Cuba.
So basically, my point is, obviously, that has to do with the languages. But my point is, like, if it's a proper noun, then whoever gave it that name can decide how you pronounce it. You know what I mean? Because, like, you could name somebody something. You can name your kid something and totally fuck with the spelling. But be like, that's Brittany. But it has, like, a Z in it.
Right.
Like, you named him. That's what you call him. Brittany. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's like Nev. Like, her name is spelled Neve. And everyone's always like, Neve. And I'm like, no, it's Nev. But like,
now you got to call her Nevie.
Yeah.
Nevie from Celine.
But like, the only reason why I did that is because to me, I thought of the actress Neve Campbell, who pronounces her name Nev, and it's Neve. And then I assume everybody else like makes that same connection, which no one does.
But like, again, you got it from a proper noun. That's my point.
Right.
Proper nouns are like anyone's game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It is interesting, like names and stuff.
So, if you're a modern person who likes, like, if you really, really like science fiction and you really, really like Arthur C. Clarke and maybe you're into audio dramas, then definitely check out Fall of Moondust. But if you're not into any of those things, then I wouldn't suggest it. But at the same time, why are you here if you're not into any of those things?
It's also only an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really feel that long.
And it's free. You can get it on YouTube. That's where we watch it.
Yeah.
Right,
and this is what I will tell you. If you don't listen to it all in one sitting, like I didn't listen to it all in one sitting, make sure you know where you stop. Because since it's YouTube, it will always go back to the beginning when you close the page out.
Yeah. Yeah, I listened to the whole thing in one sitting, which was fun. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just sat there and I was playing. I have a Nintendo Switch. So I was playing something on mute and just listening. It was cool.
Yeah. I was like, for me, I mean, I would assume this is probably how people do audiobooks and stuff. I was like making dinner and like doing stuff around the apartment and listening to it.
Yeah.
And it was cool.
Yeah, so I recommend it, but not if you're I'm sure you understand what I mean by that. It's good, but it's like it's a medium that's just not modern, I guess.
Yeah.
Anymore. Well, actually, I like that kind of thing, like, because there's like a podcast like this where we just talk, right? Mm-hmm. We have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then there's an investigative journalism podcast, which is like you have like sound effects, you have like music to make it sound like it's a production, but you're reading a script, you know what I mean? But then there's this, which is, it's like you're just there. And wherever the thing is that's picking up sound, if it can hear something, then that will be in what you're listening to. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing's added except music.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's like not a thing I feel like that we're into these days. But I am intrigued by, I don't think I would ever listen to this because I don't have the time and I'd rather just read the books again.
Yeah.
But I think Audible did The Sandman.
Oh. With
James McAvoy as Morpheus, the main character.
Uh-huh.
And I think that is in this same vein. So like it's not an audiobook in that you're just reading it, like if like a good reader just read it. It's like acted out.
That's cool.
So it would probably be cool, but I'm not gonna listen to that. I mean, I don't know, maybe someday, but I'd rather just read all the graphic novels again. But anyway, so you want to talk about the movie?
Yeah, sure.
What, you didn't like it?
No.
Really?
No. God, no.
Why not?
Because it was just like boring, and I didn't like. fully understand, like, when you finally figure out, like, what the issue is. Also, do you know who the freaking director of this is?
Michael Winterbottom.
Yeah.
Who's that? Indie director from the early 2000s, right?
Let's see. He directed all the Trip movies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll stick to those, please.
Okay.
I mean, I think he's done other stuff too. I don't know. But as soon as I saw his name, I was like, Michael Winterbottom, what?
Okay, wait. Time out. Minus the sci-fi, I just want to talk about how this movie makes me feel.
Okay.
It makes me, like, do you remember, right? When like, being an indie movie meant something?
Yeah.
Like, late 90s, early 2000s, or like 90s, early 2000s, where, like, you only had one or two ways to get people to see your movie. Yeah. In the theater, straight to video, or TV, like a TV movie. But let's be honest. What do people pay attention to? No, like, okay, you might make a career or whatever. TV movies, like, those need to be made. But, like, if you're ambitious and you want to make something really good that, like, people are going to watch and enjoy, you're going for the movies, the theater, right?
Right.
So in order to do that as an indie movie, your movie had to be fucking good. You get what I'm saying? In order for people to take, like, a chance, in order for, like, some distributor to, like, buy up that movie and be like, yeah, we'll distribute this, we'll market this, even though it's niche, like, it has to be good. Right. Whereas nowadays, it can be garbage, and it'll be right on the front page of Netflix.
Right.
So there's my point is, it's a big difference, like, in how we distribute movies, and, like, if your thing sucks back then, it's not going to be viewed by many people. If your thing sucks now, it's on the internet like everything else. That's my point.
Yeah.
So there's, like, a certain time period, I think, in the late 90s to, like, the late 2000s, like, close to 2010.
Yeah. Where
indie movies were just of a certain quality. And I feel like they had a certain feel and, like, a certain vibe. And this movie just totally met that criteria. It has cool, good cinematography, good actors. It has the music. I love the music in that movie, and I feel like it's just so of that time. You know, like, when indie sounded like that.
Yeah, I mean, the music was good.
And then, like, the fact that it had, like, weird credits, you know, like, weird credits now, like, that's just normal now. Like, back then, It was like, it was like a cool thing that had to prove its worth, was, like, an indie movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And this movie gives off that vibe, in that I was confused by it. Most of the movie I was confused, but and I think we differ here, but I just enjoy, like, the sensual feeling of watching that movie, from the visuals to the music. I just dig it.
I did not like it. I mean, I feel like the words, like the thing at the beginning, just, like,
it's too much.
Yeah, but it just gave away what was going to happen. Like, to me, as soon as those people, like, which I personally found the two main characters to have absolutely zero chemistry. Like, I did not buy them together at all. I didn't see like, why they liked each other. It just, like, I didn't like them together at all. But I was like, obviously they're going to, like, have sex and they're going to violate this code. And then, like, sure enough, like, I mean, there were some things that were interesting. Like, I thought it was interesting, like, when he went to the clinic or wherever she was. Like, I liked that whole part where, like, right from when he got there, I liked the lady, like, the receptionist lady. Like, yeah. I liked that.
Wait. Which clinic?
The one when he actually, like, saw her. Like, when he went and talked to her.
Like, the first time he shows up somewhere, or when she was getting, like, an abortion?
After yeah. And how, like, when he got there and she was like, your virus, like we have like antivirus
Yes,
stuff
yes,
here.
yes.
So like that's why you're sneezing and that's why your empathy virus like doesn't work.
Right.
And then when he was talking to the woman that like brought him into the room with her, and you're like, because like when he first goes in there, you're like, she's acting like she doesn't know who he is. So like that's weird. And
Right.
and then when they came out and she was like, oh, we erased the memory of like the man, the sex, and the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I actually like that. I liked how he said you terminated the baby, and she's like, there wasn't a baby. We terminated the pregnancy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I liked that. I thought that was cool. I didn't like. I don't know. Well, what do you want to say?
On.
I mean, then I can tell you the things I didn't like about the movie.
The first time I watched the movie, I saw all that text in the beginning, and I was just like, I don't really get this, so I'm just going to watch it. Like, it was too wordy. And then
it was.
But then I watched it again. I watched the movie again, and I realized while reading that what it means. And if you take away the movie, and if you just, like, it's a concept I've never thought about.
Yeah.
If you start cloning people, there's going to be a bunch of genetically identical people running around in your population.
Right.
And that's not good. And I've never, ever, 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 ever considered or thought about that.
But I don't understand. Like, if you clone someone, don't they look like them? Like, I guess I just don't understand enough about cloning.
Well,
because like when he finds out that she's the same genetic makeup as his mother, I guess I just didn't get that part. Like, I didn't understand.
Well, here's another thing. Also, today I read the Wikipedia plot summary, dude. In like the first couple paragraphs, information is revealed to me that I never picked up on in that movie after watching it twice. So to me, I think that the world and the sci-fi is interesting, but I agree that it's not explained fully enough, because my main problem with this movie is that it's like too much of a love story, dude. Like, I just don't care about these two characters that enough. Like, I'm very much interested in the world and like how it works and all the things that they do, but like the characters and the love story, I just didn't care.
But I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's part of my issue with it. They have zero chemistry. You don't care about them.
I disagree that they have zero chemistry, but
really?
maybe it's because I'm a guy and I put myself in his shoes, and I would be interested in her too. So that's just like a weird, like, my own eye viewing the world.
Yeah.
Because she is, in my opinion, intriguing just as a character. So is the Freckles girl. Remember the Freckles girl?
Yeah.
Okay, one other thing I want to say about this movie. I feel bad that she didn't like it. I didn't love it, but I do like to talk. It's one of those movies, it's like, I at least like to talk about it. So, I think that this movie is not good as a whole. I think it's made up of a bunch of really good scenes. I loved the scene when he first brings up the empathy virus, and he gets that lady to tell him her password. And she's
I
like,
liked that
she's
scene
like, how
too.
did you do that? I just loved it because you're with her in that part, because you don't know what the empathy virus is or that it even exists.
Right.
And so all of a sudden you're like, how the fuck is this movie sci-fi? Like, okay, so that guy's like I didn't know that movie was sci-fi. I heard of it. I remember when it came out. Never in a million years thought it was sci-fi. I just saw it in the sci-fi thing of HBO. I was like, this is sci-fi? Excuse me? So anyway, what was I saying before I said that?
You liked scenes.
Oh, yeah. I love the scene where she's like, how do you know my palabra? And he's just like, gets it out of her. It was just so cool. It's just so cool. I like that. And I agree, the scene where he goes to the clinic and talks to that woman. Yeah, and she's got her hands in her little pockets.
Yeah.
And she's just like, you're not in charge here, dude. Like, what? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to fuck us over and we're not going to let you. So what's up? But anyway.
I did like in the scene, sorry to interrupt, when he's talking to the woman and he guesses her password and he says to her, just let me do my job. And she's like, well, if I let you do your job, then I'm not doing my job.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, take that, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
But then
he has drugs to help him. And I really loved. It's just one of those movies where like the world building is cool enough that I'm able to sit there and be like, oh, that's cool, even though I don't really care about like the characters. Like I love when she's like, I took a Mandarin virus one time.
I like that part too.
And like she's like the Chinese, like I could speak
they could
Chinese.
Understand me, but I didn't know what I was saying.
I love that.
But I guess that's like, I wish there was more explanation. Like I wish there was more explanation about like this empathy virus that he took. Like I think it's cool. He said there's one that makes you have perfect pitch. Like,
yeah,
I guess I agree with you. Like, there are really interesting concepts in the movie, but they're just mentioned and then they're never mentioned again.
So it's a movie. Like, I also definitely thought watching it a second time, you know how he interacts with that guy at the border in the beginning?
Yeah.
I for sure thought watching it a second time that he in that scene got the guy to tell him something about himself, and he'd used his empathy virus, but he didn't. But the point is, the movie like is mysterious enough. If you like it, you like sci-fi or whatever,
yeah,
that you'll be like, like what did I miss the first time around? And I don't know. I think
the movie's purposely trying not to like. There's all that like choppy editing where you just like get like a quick scene and then a quick shot and then a quick shot and I to me that's like
it's so indie.
It's just been done before and I don't love it because I feel like it's trying to make me feel a certain way. Like
Isn't
it's
that the
trying.
Point of movies?
Then it shouldn't be so obvious. I shouldn't look at something and go, I should just feel that way.
Right. You're not supposed to be able to see through the illusion.
Right.
I agree.
But I don't know. And the whole like mixing of the languages, like I think that's cool, but I found it kind of distracting in this.
Dude, when second time I watched it, I turned on subtitles. Because I knew I was missing shit.
But the other thing is like, so I looked it up also, and because when I wrote my notes, I was like, why are we part Spanish here? And maybe it's just because I speak a little bit of Spanish, but those were the only words I was picking up were Spanish words. Mm-hmm. And I think every single Spanish word they said, like I knew what it meant. Okay. But then when I looked it up, it said it was a combination of like French and so like.
So let me just.
I didn't realize that.
Well, that's okay. Let me just explain something to you. And this is in no way a fault to you. This is just like our perceptions, right? One of my favorite TV shows of all time is Firefly. Firefly takes place in the future, where we are exploring space. But the idea is that it originated from Earth. That's your explanation for everyone speaks English. But the idea in that show is that show heavily mixes in Chinese with no subtitles. You just, as you watch, you just learn, like, when someone says that, that's why they're saying that. But anyway, my point is, at some point, I think I read this, I don't think it's said in the show, that when humanity took to the stars in the Firefly universe, China, or Chinese and English were the most spoken languages. So that's just everyone in the universe who's from Earth, and in that show there's no aliens, just speaks this combination. So to me, that is just a futuristic concept that I have accepted in sci-fi that I think just, like, if I'd never encountered that before, I think I'm saying I would agree with you. Like, I would be confused by that.
I think it's cool. And I think that does seem like something that probably could happen even without going to space, even living in the world like these people do. Like, that makes sense. Like, we already have... I mean, I'm not going to be able to think of them, but we already have words.
I call Annie mi gatita.
My
little cat.
But what I was saying is, like, to me, I only noticed the Spanish, and maybe that's just because there were other words they were saying, but I didn't recognize them as words because I don't speak those languages.
And then the when you watch the subtitles, it's like italics. So
yeah,
I mean.
It had cool concepts. I didn't love.
But I agree with you that it's like not, things aren't explained.
Yeah.
And I like filling in the gaps, and I like sci-fi, and I like dystopian shit. But like, so it's fun for me to fill in the gaps. Like, but I agree. Like, for instance, like, it's unclear in the beginning, like, what do you need cover for? And when I read it, dude, it turns out, and I don't think this is said in the movie, that you need cover just to get into a city. It's not like a country thing. It's not like borders. It's like you can't even enter the city. And that's like humanity is like huddled into these cities in this future. This is not said in the movie, so I'm agreeing. It's fucked up. It's not right.
But then, like, when I was reading about it afterwards, it said that like the sun is really harmful.
Exactly. Is that ever said in the movie?
It is. When they first get to her apartment, she says, "Do you really think the sun is as dangerous as they say?" And I was like, "What? What? Okay." So, because that's all they say. So, like, did they talk about the sun some other time?
So I'm going to have to say here that now discussing this, the movie, it needs to be clearer, because now I'm picking up on things that are relating to what you're saying and what you're confirming. Because remember when he's like, she says that he enters the city in the afternoon and there's like no traffic.
No, in the morning.
But
it's deserted.
But the point is, like, that's like, I understand now why that is because of reading the Wikipedia article, but that's never explained in the movie. And it's interesting, so it should be explained.
But also think about the whole thing with, like, she said she lived outside for 10 years.
Yeah.
So part of that is because you're outside, you're in the sun. It's not as safe. Those are where the poor people live. Like,
classic.
It is.
Separation, Elysium.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And I feel like the end of the movie is really sad.
Dude, yeah.
Because and I did think it was interesting how, along with getting that abortion, because they violated Code 46 because she has the same genetic makeup as his mother, and so they had sex and she got pregnant, and that's not allowed. But, like, along with terminating the pregnancy, getting rid of all the memories, they also gave her that virus that makes, like, her body react negatively to him.
It's fucked up.
And then it made her then report when they slept together again.
Right.
It was just weird. But that was cool. I mean, I thought that was cool.
And I think the ending is
scary and cool.
The ending is so brutal in that,
because he gets his memory wiped and she still has to remember him.
Yeah, and they even, again, I don't remember this in the movie, but I read in the Wikipedia article that they intentionally make it stronger as punishment to her.
Yeah, I read that in the Wikipedia, we must have read the same thing. I read that too, and I didn't realize that. And I don't think you need to make it worse. I think
that's brutal, and I think it just says so much about whoever the fuck is in charge in this future. Like, it's not said outright how dystopian things are, like how bad things are. But as you watch this movie and you think about it and you read the Wikipedia article, you realize that it's like brutal, man.
Yeah.
And also,
and did you see how at the end she had like a thing over her head?
Block the sun, probably.
Yeah. And also, this could have just been me, but I feel like in the beginning of the movie she had like beautiful skin, and then by the end it wasn't, and I think it was because she was like out in the sun and stuff. Like, it was just... Man,
it's so weird how I sit around and I talk shit about movies that have too much exposition. You know, where just character, like a scene just exists so this guy can explain this to this guy so that the audience knows. And now here I am. I enjoyed watching the movie, but I think it needs more exposition. It's weird how, like, there's that perfect balance, I guess, that we don't notice because you're not supposed to notice.
Yeah.
Because everything that we're discussing is more interesting than the movie itself.
And I think that that's what's interesting about movies, or about anything that you can discuss, is like, I mean, sometimes, like, when you watch a movie, it's like, that is its own experience, sitting there watching the movie. And sometimes that's really enjoyable, or, you know, you're laughing, or you're crying, or you're scared, or whatever, and like that's its own experience. But then there's like, and not every movie has this, there's the whole like extended experience of then like talking about it and thinking about it and wanting to look it up online. And, you know, I think I still would have had to look this up even if I wasn't going to like discuss it with someone. I think I still would have been like, what exactly was going on here? Like,
I also think it's one of those movies that, and I recognize that I'm like a little weird in this, and that I like to like if I'm intrigued by a movie, even if I don't like it, if I just want to unravel whatever mystery it has, like I'll watch it again. Yeah. I'll watch it a couple times. You know what I mean? Like, but
yeah, I
so this
won't.
This movie, I want to watch it like again, like a third time, just maybe to look at what we've discussed.
Yeah,
and I wanted like, I didn't get around to doing it. Maybe I will at some point, but after discussing Solaris, I was like, I want to watch this again because Heather picked up on stuff that I didn't pick up on.
Yeah,
and but for like your average audience, they're not going to do that. So whatever amazing thing that you've packed away in this like mystery of a film, like most people aren't going to see it.
Right.
So I don't think you should just cater to me, people like me, and you shouldn't just cater to people who don't care at all. That's what blockbuster movies are for.
Right.
You got to find that balance. And I think certain movies do it super fucking well. Obviously some don't.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many different movies, and there's so many, like for me personally, like there's so many different reasons that I like or don't like movies. And then there's some movies that I really like, and I'm like, I don't really know why I like it. I just like it, you know?
Yeah.
But for this, I think for me, the biggest thing in this movie is just like I didn't really care about the characters. I personally didn't think that they had that the actors had good chemistry. I feel a little bit like the actress Samantha Morton.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I just feel like to me that's like the role that I see her as. Like I just feel like she always plays like a weird.
Yeah. Well, because she's in Minority Report.
Yeah, and like has no hair in that movie either. Like I just feel like she's like interesting looking, but she's definitely not like classically beautiful or anything. Which I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying like it makes her more interesting almost. But to me, she just is that character. So
I agree.
I don't know. Like
when she was acting weird, I was like, just did surprise me.
Yeah.
You know what else I don't really like in that? You know what derails it for me?
What?
I'm watching it a second time. I was like, oh, that was really interesting. I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to be with it. I'm going to understand it.
Yeah.
You know what kind of makes me fall off is her dream. I don't think that's like a different kind of sci-fi. That's like telepathy, like clairvoyant sci-fi. Like I'm interested in the corrupt dystopian government and the Papels and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I did. So, I mean, that whole thing is cool. And I like how that guy that she gives the Papel to, how, like even in the scene, what was his name? Will, the main guy. He was like, if you don't have cover, there's a reason. And then you find out that it was like for this man's safety.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have immunity towards a disease or something.
Yeah.
So is like that's really interesting. But do they make it known? Like if someone says, okay, I want to go to this country because I want to study bats, and this is like the best place to go to study bats. Does someone tell them why they're not allowed to go there? Like, does someone say, look, dude, you will die if you go there?
Part of me thinks yes. Well, but
also like, why isn't there like a shot? Like,
well, part of me thinks that I'm agreeing with you 100% that it is not clear and it should be clear.
Yeah.
But part of me thinks he does know because his whole reason, his answer to William saying there's a reason you can't go is like, yeah, there's a reason I shouldn't go, but certain things in life you have to take a risk.
Yeah, but also like, did he get to do anything when he was there? He went there and it sounds like he died pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, but I think the point is, and that's what she said. Doesn't he then say something to her? And she's like, well, look, in life, you have to take a risk sometimes, which is an interesting sentiment, but I don't think it applies. If taking a risk means like you're going to die the second you take the risk, and that's not a risk, that's guaranteed death.
Yeah, and I mean, I also think it's interesting that in this world, in this future, they can give you a virus that makes you have perfect pitch and empathy and be able to speak other languages, but like you can't go to another country because you can't. See, you're not immune to a disease. So like even like today, if you go to certain countries, like you get a shot before you go there because so it's just interesting. Like I guess the world's gotten that much worse maybe by this time.
It doesn't even. There's not even enough visual evidence in the film that it's a dystopia. I mean, yeah, they show the desert, but like there are deserts all like everywhere, like on Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's not enough evidence in the film that it's dystopian.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, the movie's fine. I mean, I watched it, but the whole time I was watching it, I was like, I just don't really like this. Like, there just wasn't enough like draw for me.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I think it had a lot to do with the. There's not a big cast to this movie. It's really all about those two people, and
yeah, you're right.
I just didn't buy it.
Yeah, although I do agree that chemistry probably isn't as good as it could be, but I was watching that movie going, what the fuck happened to Tim Robbins? He's such a good actor.
Yeah, he
Not
is
that
good,
I really
but
care. Like, I'm sure he's just like older and retired now, but I'm watching it. I'm just like, dude, Tim, like, he's just good. He's a good actor. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. I just feel like, I don't know, like when he first, I guess, is he who she sees in the dream?
Yeah, he is her destiny. But
yeah,
why?
okay.
But why?
So they have this connection because other than that, like, yes, they like bump into each other, but then they just didn't seem like in love to me. I don't know.
Dude, it also doesn't, her premonition also doesn't make sense in the way she reacts to it because it's cool, again, like a lot of other things in this movie, it's cool up until a certain point and then it just gets confusing. Like her whole premonition is that, okay, the idea is that 17 years ago, she had a dream on her birthday.
Right.
That she was on a train, and every year that passes, she has the same dream, but it's one less stop until the final destination.
Yeah.
So the idea is that this birthday, where the day that the movie takes place on, is the final day. So she's going to meet her quote-unquote destiny. But then it's like, but then she like, her plan is to not go to sleep that night, to not meet her destiny. It's like, first of all, why?
Yeah.
Don't you want to meet your destiny? Second of all, like, you have to sleep eventually, so you're just going to have the dream.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, it's not like, yeah.
There are things in that movie that are on really fucking shaky legs. Like, it's just like, you've intrigued me, but you haven't like propped me up to like be there with you.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to fall over and you're going to keep going somewhere else.
And
I'm going to be confused.
I don't know a lot of Michael Winterbottom's movies, but knowing the ones that I do, I'm like, this is interesting that this is what you made.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because it's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to wonder like how that movie even came about. I think it's a British film, and then you have, and the Free Association is the artist that did the music. And when I looked it up, it's somebody famous, right? And that's just a pseudonym? I
don't know. It's weird. I like noticed that and was like, oh, I should look at who that is. I think I like the music in the movie too, even though I can't really like remember it right now, but
yeah,
I remember liking it, but I never did look them up.
Yeah. I think it's like some guy. I'll look him up real quick and then we can end it just because I'm
It was like
curious.
Crazy at the end of the movie how they're like driving on that road and they're like, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like, oh, we have our whole lives ahead of us, and then they come around a corner and there is like a group of camels, and then they like drive off the road. I was like, really? Like, what?
Dude, there are definitely things in that movie. There are things in that movie that I don't like. Like in terms of like I said, the sensual experience for me of watching the movie, visual, audio, I dig it. But there are things that happen in the plot that I don't like and I wish didn't happen. Like, I'm not down with amnesia in movies. Okay, not interested in a character who doesn't remember things. Just doesn't interest me. That's why I've never watched Born Identity, because that motherfucker starts and the dude knows nothing, and neither do I, and I just don't care. You know what I mean? So, as soon as she loses her memory, first and second time I watch a movie, I'm just like, ugh. It's better when,
Yeah, but I But I think it's interesting. I think that memory loss is interesting. Yeah. And you have to wonder, like, this obviously happens enough in society that they have a way to deal with it. So you have to wonder, like, how many women are there out there who, like, have had their memories wiped? But, you know, then if you think about it, that could be a whole other story.
Right.
That could be a whole different movie of, like, two people who, like, keep finding each other, you know, like the true idea of, like, soulmates or whatever, who, like, keep finding each other, but then they, you know, she keeps getting her memory wiped, and then they find each other again, and they find, you know, like, that seems like it could be a whole other.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, technically, he would never have even gone back there except that guy died.
Right.
So it's like
his fault.
Weird that he even goes back there.
Dude, and he's a scumbag, dude. Remember in the beginning how he turns in the other guy?
Yeah, and that, I think that was part of my issue too. I was like, this guy seems like he has a very specific skill or, like, job or whatever, and, like, it really doesn't take much for him to just, like, throw it all away.
Right. Yeah.
And they're, like, flying him all over the place, and, like,
that was weird though too. Remember he runs out of cover?
Yeah, but
it's
I
like,
didn't.
Aren't you on business? Like, no, shouldn't you be allowed to do whatever?
But did he run out of it, or was he trying to leave too soon?
I don't.
Like, she was like, you can't. Yeah, the whole cover and, like, being able to get on a plane and not being able to get on a plane, or be here and not be able, like, that wasn't super easy to understand.
Yeah, and so actually one of the question I had, I feel like they showed the covers and they were like cards.
Yeah, because he found that one, like, in
so then when
apartment.
When she says she puts a papel in a pill and swallows it, like, what is she putting in a pill?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't get that. And the funny thing about that scene too is, because right after she's like, admit it, you're impressed. And both times I watched the movie, I was like, that's not impressive. Like, because first of all, what are you swallowing? Because what I saw, like, what the movie conveyed to me as being a cover is a thing that you can't swallow. So what are you swallowing? Like a microchip? If it's a microchip, then, like, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it doesn't.
She's like, impressed. And if I were him, I'd be like, I'm fucking grossed out, dude.
Yeah.
That's gross. Like, how much money are you making to dig through your own shit?
Yeah, I guess. And, like, she was talking about, like, helping, you know, she has that memory book, and it's, like, people's faces, like, the moment that she gives them the papel. But I have to say, like, I don't love that because of what happens to the one guy that goes and dies. Like, I just feel like he's being protected, and it's not, like, I get what you're saying, and I get what the movie's saying about how, like, you have to take a risk, but to me, it would be better if, like, she really was helping people out, that, like, people just, like, were not able to do these things because they were poor.
I agree.
You know, so I feel like that would have made that better.
Okay, you know, I'm starting to agree here in that neither of those characters are good people, I don't think. I mean, they're like, you kind of sympathize with them because they're, you know, whatever. But, like, because that, in my opinion, okay, this is another thing, and I feel like you're kind of humoring me here because I just, you know, like, but I think that movie, I think there are certain integral moments in that movie where it stumbles. Like, I think that is an important moment for her character. It's like, what is your reaction to the fact that you are doing something illegal? And, like, and in response to him saying there's a reason these people can't get cover, is for her to just be like, hippy dippy, like, certain things in life you just have to take a risk. You know, and it's like, that is not a good attitude to have in this situation. Like, I get that, like, these people are clearly feel like they deserve to do these things that their government, apparently whatever world government's not letting them do, but, like, you can't be, she's just too nonchalant about it.
Right.
I don't like that. And I'm realizing now that in my, when I watch a movie, when you get to that moment, you're like, this is a moment. Like, this is an important moment for her character. She better deliver, but she really doesn't.
And I kind of like the way that he's like, why did you do all that in front of me? Like, you know,
Yeah, man.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like she is kind of reckless and just not very likable.
I guess that's like part of my whole thing. Like, I get it's like you said, like, I get that she's intriguing, but I don't know. Like,
yeah, and then you find out that he has a kid and a wife. It's like, dude, like, what's the matter? Like, just go back there.
And for this movie that's supposed to be about this like passionate affair, it has like just like not good sex scenes.
I don't even remember them.
Like real, just like awkward, like focused on like her face. Yeah. Like it doesn't even involve him.
Dude, that movie,
it's just.
You're right, dude. The romance in that movie's fucked. Remember when she goes to the bathroom, like right next to him?
Yeah, and they're singing.
She's like singing.
They're singing that song.
That part is so awkward. That part is awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like just a little weird to have a movie that has like they always have their shirts on, but yet there's like full frontal like female nudity during the sex scene, during the second sex scene. Like I was like, oh, okay, this feels really out of place and awkward.
You just skipped the nipples.
Yeah, it's like very weird.
Yeah, it's a weird movie.
Like he I think also has a shirt on, like a little undershirt thing.
Remember when he's doing the VR in the beginning?
Oh, yeah.
Like, hello.
And I didn't really like the voiceover thing. And she was like talking to him. She was like, I wonder if you knew.
Yeah, man, I agree.
That you were going to meet me or whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
So I guess what I'm realizing is when it comes to that movie, I love the sci-fi. I love the world building, everything else. I love the music. Everything else is just not quite there for me.
Yeah. It has some cool ideas, but they're just like, they're not necessarily like explored well enough.
Okay. Well, at least we should end it.
Okay.
Do you have we've never done this before, but let's do it.
What?
Give a rating out of 10, the BBC's version of Fall of Moondust.
Out of 10? I mean, it was my first time ever listening to one of these, and I thought it was pretty good. So it kept me entertained. So I don't know, probably like 7, 8. Maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll give it a 7.
Yeah.
What do you give Code 46?
Oh, God.
A 4.6? No,
out of 100, a 46.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it.
That's cool.
I mean, whatever. I'm happy to watch it, but.
Yeah, I would give it, I don't know if I could give it a rating. I don't even know. I mean, like, plot wise and as a whole movie, I'd give it like a 3 or a 4. But in terms of like, I don't know, music and the experience of watching it, yeah. I'll give it like maybe like a 7.
Okay.
I dug it for most of it. But anyway, the next episode that the listeners will be able to enjoy will be about a collection of short stories called Tales of 10 Worlds.
Ooh.
Which is, I mean, if you're going to name your collection of short stories Tales of 10 Worlds, you'd think that you would have like
10 worlds?
10 stories.
Oh.
Each about a world or something. But no, it's like 15 stories. I don't know why it's called Tales of 10 Worlds, but
I don't either.
I'm a good way into it right now, and as of this recording, and it's super good.
Oh.
Heather, there's one called Dog Star.
Speaking of Dog Star.
Right? There's one called Dog Star. Oh, my God, dude.
Oh.
It is so good and so heartbreaking.
Oh, no.
Just, I mean,
oh.
Everyone loves dogs, so, I mean.
Oh, it's really about a dog?
Yeah. Oh. No,
Uh-oh.
Heather, you would love it. Oh, my God, can I tell you about it?
No, you can't, because you're going to talk about it on another episode.
True.
So don't talk about it now.
Okay. I won't. Okay, so tune in next week. We're talking about Tales of 10 Worlds. And really, that's it. This is a bonus episode. Thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, if you're curious, a Fall of Moondust BBC radio program on YouTube for free, 90 minutes long. Pretty cool. Like, check it out.
And Code 46 is on HBO. So,
yeah. So if you have HBO
Max,
Max,
like you want to watch it.
Yeah.
short, I guess, like hour and a half or something.
Only
so
90 minutes, which is ideal.
nothing crazy.
Yes. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and join me next time. Keep dreaming about space.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Sue Madre production. See you next time.